Well, it's time now for business, and let's begin as ever by taking a look at the markets and firstly how things closed up in the US. The Dow ending up almost 0.3% at the close of play on Thursday. The Nasdaq ending a little lower than that, although still in positive territory. The S&P 500 ending just a little below the flat line. Now, as for Asia this Friday, most indices trading in the red. The Nikkei down 0.3%, the Shanghai Composite a little lower than that, the Hong Kong Hang Seng trading a little below the flat line, only the Kospi in Seoul trading in positive territory. Well, for more on what we're seeing there, let's cross now to Jamil Ahmad, Director of Investment Strategy at NAGA. Jamil, stocks hovering around all-time highs. How exactly should we understand what we're seeing on the markets?
I think what we should understand is that if it isn't broke, don't fix it. And that seems to be the mindset of investors right now because they're so positive about the vaccine. They see this as an early Christmas present. And essentially, stock markets globally remain very close to all-time record levels, even though they had an extremely great November. That was the best November in decades for a number of major indices. This momentum is still continuing into December, but at a lower pace. Now, unless there is a speed bump when it comes to the vaccine being approved by certain nations or some difficulties in getting it to different territories, it does look like this is a Christmas rally that's taking place early. And there isn't a reason right now to say that stock markets should decline because they're just riding the wave of optimism on a vaccine and of life hopefully returning to normal. And this is what's helping stock markets generally globally.
And Jamil, the US dollar has actually fallen to its lowest level since 2018, and that's very good news for some.
That's good news. That's been applauded by a number of currencies across the world right now. We've got the euro that's trading at its strongest levels since May, June 2018. It has not been at 1.21 since then. The Australian dollar is actually reaching the same kind of milestone highs, and the British pound has got its highest levels since Boris Johnson was elected in the general election this time last year. Generally speaking, we've got the perfect storm of dollar weakness. We've got the vaccine coming. That's weakening the safe haven appeal towards the greenback, the US dollar. You've also got a lot of optimism over President Biden, President-elect coming into power come end of January. And on top of this, you've got the central bank policies. You've got Janet Yellen coming into as the Treasury Secretary. And it does seem like we've got the perfect storm of dollar weakness. And I've not known a time where investors have been this cautious on the US dollar and actually pessimistic for about 5 years. So that's going to be good news for currencies around the world.
Okay, moving away from currencies now. There was an OPEC meeting on Thursday of the world's largest oil-producing nations. What exactly came out of that, Jamil?
Well, we got there in the end, Haxi. There seemed to be a lot of, discussions, a lot of headlines, a lot of misunderstandings over what was going on. The truth is, the devil's always in the detail of OPEC, and it's very scarce to get those details out in the headlines because nobody really knows what's going on behind closed doors. Essentially, OPEC agreed that they will increase production slightly, but not to the elements and the stretch that we thought that might be possible. We're still going to see a production cut somewhere around 7 million barrels per day, which is seen as market friendly. It's not seen as too much of a reaction to the vaccine. And this is why oil prices are trading at strongest levels since March time, roughly, which was the beginning of the pandemic. It does seem like we're going to have an oil price that's closing on $50 before the end of 2020. And considering everything that's happened in the oil market this year, including negative prices for the first time in histories, I think all oil producers will take $50 on the table right now.
I think you're probably right. Jamil Ahmad, Director of Investment Strategy at NAGA, thank you very much. Well, it's time now to take a look at what's making headlines in world papers. We'll